In the dimly lit, vast council chamber aboard the Galactic Command, the high-ranking alien commanders sat in a semicircle, their imposing forms encased in elaborate armor and robes denoting centuries of power and conquest. Around them, holographic maps of countless star systems flickered, each a testament to their rule. The air buzzed with a mixture of superiority and indifference as they discussed the vast multitude of species under their control. Commander Lothar, a towering figure with crimson skin and 3 unblinking eyes, cleared his throat. His voice carried the weight of countless victories. The Gordhex of Aldyra have submitted fully. Their resistance was laughable, a mere 50 revolutions, and their armies crumbled like sand. A murmur of approval passed through the council. To these seasoned commanders, such tales of dominance were ordinary. They took pride in the Empire's iron grip, a rule so absolute that most species wouldn't dare defy it. Lothar raised a hand, shifting the holographic projection to another star system, a small, seemingly insignificant blue planet circling a yellow sun. And this Earth, he sneered, his tone dripping with condescension. Primitive. Their technology barely touches the surface of what we consider advanced. Their kind has no place in our discussions, but they amuse me. Like insects trying to scale a mountain. A laugh rippled through the room. The humans were a minor species to them, fragile, fleeting beings with limited intelligence and no valuable resources or technology to offer. They were nothing more than background noise in the vast, carefully structured hierarchy of the Galactic Command. One commander remarked that the humans could be useful for menial tasks on conquered worlds if they managed to survive long enough. Another commander chimed in, her voice low and disdainful. Have you seen their structures? Primitive shelters built of stone and metal. They still use combustion engines. They call it innovation, yet they're centuries behind even the youngest species within our alliance. The laughter grew. Their pride was palpable, each of them marveling at the sheer backwardness of Earth's inhabitants. To them, humans were weak, a strange anomaly in a galaxy teeming with powerful, capable lifeforms. But amid the sneers, Commander Terran, the eldest of them all, raised a slender finger. His eyes, wise and calculating, narrowed. Weak they may be, yes, but peculiar too. Consider their planet, volatile, teeming with disaster. They face earthquakes, storms, erupting volcanoes, and yet they survive. They adapt. The other commander scoffed. Adapt? That's not power, one retorted. It's desperation. They're survivors, nothing more, a species clinging to existence. Commander Terran remained quiet, a hint of curiosity lingering in his gaze. Perhaps. But I suggest we keep an eye on them. Lifeforms that thrive under adversity have a way of surprising those who dismiss them too quickly. This comment was met with a wave of dismissal. Commander Lothar leaned back, crossing his arms with an amused smirk. Mark my words, Terran, those humans would crumble the moment we applied even the slightest pressure. I'd wager they'd last a handful of rotations before surrendering entirely. Others joined in, amused by the idea. They placed their bets, some wagering humans would break within days, while a few more optimistic commanders speculated they might last a few weeks. Their pride and confidence swelled, believing humanity to be nothing more than a minor diversion, a species that could be tested and toyed with as they pleased. The Galactic Commanders, intrigued by the idea of testing humanity, wasted no time in crafting a suitable challenge. They chose a method that wouldn't immediately reveal their involvement, a subtle manipulation of Earth's atmosphere, simulating an environmental disaster. Atmospheric temperatures began to climb rapidly, causing droughts in some regions while others faced relentless storms. Earth's weather became increasingly erratic, bringing floods, fires, and fierce hurricanes. To the commanders, it was a simple exercise, a light pressure designed to test humanity's endurance. On Earth, the response was immediate and chaotic. In drought-stricken areas, water supplies dwindled, causing panic. Meanwhile, coastal towns braced themselves as once-in-a-century storms became weekly events. The people were confused, unsure how to counter nature's fury. At first, the reactions were predictable, stockpiling resources, escalating conflicts over essential supplies, cities in turmoil. But beneath the chaos, a deeper current of resilience began to stir. In regions hit hardest by drought, communities pooled resources, developing creative methods to conserve water. Small towns implemented water rationing systems, while urban centers invested in desalination plants. Engineers and scientists around the globe rushed to devise new irrigation methods and technology to sustain crops under extreme conditions. Farmers experimented with hardier plant varieties, sharing their findings with those beyond their borders. The storm-ravaged areas saw equally innovative responses. Local governments worked tirelessly to fortify coastal defenses, recruiting volunteers to construct barriers and reinforce levees. Engineers and architects collaborated to design structures that could withstand the escalating forces of nature. Crowdfunding efforts allowed even small communities to implement high-tech warning systems, alerting people to incoming threats before they arrived. Humanity, instead of surrendering, adapted and fought back, utilizing every ounce of ingenuity at its disposal. As the Galactic Commanders watched, expecting humanity to crack under pressure, they found themselves increasingly perplexed. They had assumed humans would descend into chaos and surrender, that their limited resources and primitive technology would leave them helpless. Yet here was a species that, despite lacking the advanced technology and physical prowess of other galactic civilizations, found ways to endure. Commander Lothar observed with a mixture of irritation and surprise. "They're merely delaying the inevitable. It's the desperation of a species fighting extinction. They can't hope to outlast this." But Commander Terran, the elder who had first suggested observing humanity, studied the screens with intrigue. "This is not just desperation. Look at how they pool their resources, how each group shares knowledge with another. There's a unity here, a collective drive that we rarely see among other species, even among our own." The council was divided, some maintaining that humanity's efforts were futile, while others grew more interested. They saw families working shoulder to shoulder with strangers, nations with historical conflicts putting aside differences for the sake of survival. Humanity's response wasn't just about individual survival but a shared, stubborn refusal to give in. They used their limited means in ways the Galactic Commanders had not anticipated, adapting to each new hardship with startling resilience. As the disasters continued, humans grew bolder. Grassroots movements and global networks emerged, encouraging conservation, resilience, and a return to harmony with their environment. Entire nations committed to restructuring energy grids, relying on sustainable resources that could endure the shifting climate. Scientists collaborated on a global scale, with research pouring in from every corner of the Earth. Many began to theorize that these sudden changes were not natural. It was a thought-provoking realization, yet humanity continued working without a definitive answer. Back in the council chambers, skepticism began to turn into bewilderment. "They lack our technological advancement, yet they adapt so quickly," one commander remarked, unable to mask his disbelief. "They're turning disaster into opportunity." The others remained dismissive, unwilling to believe that a species so young and inexperienced could prove resilient. Yet, a quiet discomfort began to settle over the room. For the first time, they were seeing humanity as something more than mere primitives. This response was unlike anything they had observed in other civilizations. Where other species might retreat or fracture, humans united. Even those who had been rivals or enemies found themselves fighting side by side. Countries once divided by ideology worked in tandem to share resources, strategies, and ideas. Human scientists held conferences, engineers shared blueprints, and leaders coordinated relief efforts as if they were all parts of a singular organism, adapting and strengthening itself. The Galactic Commanders were struck by this unity, a stark contrast to the fragmented and often self-serving alliances within their own ranks. Humanity's resilience was a testament not to any individual's strength but to their collective will, a will that refused to bow even as the odds stacked higher. The Galactic Commanders were beginning to see that humans were not to be measured by physical prowess or technological progress, but by an unbreakable determination. The more hardship they faced, the more innovative and united they became, their resolve as fierce and stubborn as the species itself. The Galactic Commanders, now watching with a mixture of frustration and curiosity, felt their patience thinning. This small, insignificant species had lasted longer than expected, pushing back against every hardship with unexpected resilience. Commander Lothar, bristling with irritation, proposed a new strategy. "Enough subtlety," he declared. "We've given them far too much credit already. It's time we apply true pressure and see if their courage holds." The Council agreed, deciding to unleash a new wave of challenges on humanity, one so complex and overwhelming that no mere ingenuity could withstand them. They intensified the environmental manipulation, destabilizing tectonic plates to increase seismic activity. Earthquakes struck densely populated cities, while volcanoes long thought dormant began to stir, spewing ash and fire. At the same time, electromagnetic pulses disrupted Earth's fragile technology, leaving entire regions in the dark and cutting off critical communications. To add to the chaos, they altered ocean currents, triggering sudden and severe temperature shifts that left even the most adaptable species on the planet struggling to survive. The initial shock was severe. Communications faltered, and vital infrastructure was disrupted, throwing humanity into a state of crisis. Yet, amid the turmoil, humans rose to the challenge. Scientists and engineers worked tirelessly, pooling their expertise to develop new methods for communication and power generation that didn't rely on vulnerable systems. They turned to alternative energy sources, creating backup networks that operated independently of centralized grids. Microgrids and localized power sources, once a niche technology, became crucial in maintaining resilience. As power flickered across the globe, humanity's brightest minds raced to restore order and build systems that could withstand future disruptions. In regions facing increased seismic activity, engineers developed new architectural techniques to reinforce buildings against earthquakes. Teams of volunteers worked day and night to retrofit older structures, while others designed entirely new materials capable of absorbing shocks. In areas where volcanoes threatened cities, scientists studied ash and air currents to predict eruptions, creating early warning systems to evacuate people before disaster struck. The ingenuity didn't stop there. Individuals in even the most remote areas contributed ideas, and no solution was too small or too unconventional. Communities banded together, transforming natural resources and recycled materials into life-saving equipment, and building shelters capable of withstanding almost any force. The environmental chaos also forced humans to rethink their reliance on traditional agriculture. As temperatures and rainfall patterns became unpredictable, farmers across the world turned to vertical farming, hydroponics, and genetically modified crops resilient to extreme conditions. Entire cities transformed rooftops into green spaces, using innovative irrigation systems to sustain food production despite the turmoil. Scientists developed plants that could thrive with minimal water and engineered new fertilizers from unexpected sources to keep soil fertile. Despite the escalating attacks, humanity's creativity blossomed. They discovered hints of alien technology through data patterns left behind by the electromagnetic pulses. In labs hidden from the public eye, human scientists and engineers began reverse engineering fragments of the alien interference, adapting it to strengthen their own technology. Even as the commanders sent wave after wave of new challenges, Earth scientists were learning, evolving. They began integrating this alien-derived technology into everyday systems, creating a resilience that the Galactic Commanders had not anticipated. In the council chambers, the commanders observed this progress with growing confusion. Each setback they inflicted was met with an equal and opposite breakthrough. What was intended to be humanity's breaking point was instead becoming their proving ground. Commander Terran, still the most cautious, watched as humans turned alien challenges into opportunities. "They're not merely enduring," he observed. "They're advancing." This observation unsettled the other commanders. Commander Lothar, increasingly perturbed, scoffed, yet even he struggled to conceal his unease. "They're resourceful, I'll admit. But this stubbornness is a hindrance, not strength. They survive because they have no alternative." But the commanders could no longer ignore the facts. Humanity's rapid adaptation was undeniable. Where other species would have stagnated or fractured, humans continuously adjusted, evolved, and grew stronger with each new test. Their primitive technology was now fortified with discoveries gleaned from alien interference, transforming their survival tools into sophisticated defenses. The commanders, who once laughed at humanity's crude methods, now found themselves questioning their initial assumptions. A few among them began to wonder if they had underestimated Earth's inhabitants in a way that bordered on arrogance. Commander Terran voiced what others hesitated to acknowledge. "Perhaps we've miscalculated their capacity to innovate under pressure. It's unlike anything we've seen in other species. Perhaps they are more than what they seem." The council was divided. Some commanders insisted on increasing the intensity further, convinced that humanity would eventually falter. But a growing faction saw a glimmer of something else, a potential ally, a resourceful force that could contribute to the galaxy rather than be subdued by it. They argued that a species capable of such remarkable adaptation might be worth studying, even befriending. The council debated late into the night, uncertainty replacing their earlier confidence. The more they watched, the more they realized that humanity, far from being merely stubborn or desperate, possessed a spark that defied any test thrown at them. The commanders had come seeking weakness, but what they found was something altogether different, a relentless drive, a spirit capable of transforming adversity into strength. And that, they realized, might be more powerful than any technology or weapon in the galaxy. Frustrated and determined to reclaim their dominance, the Galactic Commanders resolved to crush humanity's spirit decisively. Gone was their earlier amusement. Now, there was a hint of desperation. Humanity had resisted every disaster, each test serving only to hone their resolve and ingenuity. The Council's confidence had been shaken, and in a last-ditch effort, they deployed their most advanced technologies, even considering sending an elite alien force to Earth to end the resistance once and for all. Commanders activated covert satellites to blanket Earth with fields of energy that would disable communication systems and disrupt power grids on an unprecedented scale. They unleashed nanobots into Earth's atmosphere, designed to infiltrate and dismantle infrastructure from within. In addition, they unleashed targeted energy pulses, creating powerful electromagnetic storms aimed at overwhelming human defenses and disrupting the most advanced technologies Earth had developed in response to previous tests. The goal was clear: dismantle humanity's resilience at its core, leaving them demoralized and dependent. Yet, humanity had evolved in response to these challenges. Scientists, now well aware of an external influence, rallied the brightest minds from every corner of the planet. Nations came together in unprecedented cooperation, pooling resources, knowledge, and technologies without hesitation or condition. Working round the clock, they created complex algorithms to detect the alien signals and disrupt them before they could do any significant damage. The field of cybersecurity, already advanced, became Earth's first line of defense against extraterrestrial interference, with encryption methods and countermeasures that even the Galactic Commanders struggled to bypass. At the same time, engineers, inspired by the alien energy waves, harnessed previously unknown forces. They devised energy shields to protect critical infrastructure and developed advanced EMP-resistant devices to maintain communication. Cities were fortified, buildings reinforced, and power grids safeguarded with redundancies built upon redundancies. Humanity no longer saw these disasters as mere obstacles. They treated them as a grand challenge to push the limits of their ingenuity. The nanobot assault posed a unique threat, but humans adapted swiftly. Biomedical experts collaborated with engineers to develop countermeasures that identified and neutralized the nanobots within hours. Hospitals and laboratories across the world became command centers for eradicating this new menace, rapidly deploying targeted biochemicals that rendered the nanobots inert. More impressively, they reprogrammed some of the nanobots to dismantle others, effectively turning one alien technology against itself. It was an unprecedented response that baffled the commanders. As Earth's scientists adapted, their engineers took the offensive. Reverse engineering the signals and energy waves used in the attacks, they modified Earth's satellites to emit a resonance pulse that interfered with the alien technology's operation. These pulses disrupted the alien networks, neutralizing some of the most advanced technologies the commanders had sent. In an unexpected twist, humanity even began tapping into the Commanders' energy sources, turning their own weapons against them. Earth's defenders had successfully transformed alien technology into a shield for the planet, fortifying it against future assaults. In their fortified bunkers and labs, humanity's leaders coordinated a synchronized, global response. They exchanged information at lightning speed, directing every available resource towards safeguarding Earth. It was no longer just survival. They were defending their home. Humanity's innovation in response to each challenge became a rallying cry. Scientists, soldiers, and civilians alike shared a unified purpose: to face this unknown threat with resilience and determination, refusing to yield an inch of ground. Then, humanity did something entirely unexpected. Earth's brightest minds managed to identify the source of the alien energy signatures and triangulate their position to a distant sector in space. They adapted their technology to send a message directly to the Galactic Commanders, a defiant broadcast filled with the voices of leaders, scientists, and everyday citizens proclaiming their refusal to be conquered. In one carefully crafted message, humanity issued a declaration not of war, but of resilience, showing the Galactic Commanders that they were well aware of the orchestrated attacks and were ready to face whatever came next. The Galactic Commanders watched in stunned silence as humanity not only survived but seemed to thrive. Every strike they had launched, every attempt to break humanity, had been met with a defiant, unified response. Commander Lothar, once so sure of Earth's weakness, clenched his fists in frustration. "They are using our own technology against us. How can this primitive species even comprehend our methods?" Commander Terran, who had cautioned his peers from the start, looked on with a grim satisfaction. "Perhaps we've pushed them too far. We assumed their ingenuity had limits, but we were mistaken. They've proven resilient beyond anything we expected, and now, we may have awakened something we cannot control." A hushed fear settled over the Council. They had set out to prove humanity's frailty, to test and dismiss them as they had with countless other species. Instead, they were faced with an indomitable force, one that grew stronger with each challenge. The Commanders realized, perhaps too late, that humanity was not simply a species struggling to survive. They were a force capable of adaptation and unity that exceeded even their advanced civilizations. And, as they watched Earth's resilience harden into resolve, they understood with dawning regret that they had underestimated a power that might someday rival their own. The culmination of humanity's efforts against the relentless alien interference sent a clear message across the stars. Humanity had prepared its final response. A coalition of Earth's leaders, scientists, and visionaries pooled their resources and sent a transmission aimed directly at the Galactic Commanders Council. The message, bold and unwavering, spoke of their resilience, their refusal to yield, and their determination to protect their world and their people. In a single voice, humanity declared their readiness to defend themselves against any force, regardless of its strength or technological superiority. Back in the council chambers, the commanders watched, transfixed, as Earth's leaders delivered their message. Humanity's resolve was unmistakable, and for the first time, the commanders felt the weight of their own misjudgment. Commander Lothar, once dismissive of human potential, could hardly believe what he was witnessing. Humanity's achievements had defied every projection, every expectation, leaving the Council's initial confidence shattered. Commander Terran, who had advocated caution, spoke with newfound respect. "They have endured everything we devised and turned every challenge into strength. This spirit, this will to endure, transcends any technological edge." Others, once scoffing at the mere mention of humanity, now wore expressions of quiet humility. They saw in humanity a reflection of qualities long buried in their own histories: cooperation, sacrifice, resilience, and an insatiable drive to survive. One by one, the commanders conceded that they had underestimated humanity's strength, admitting their own hubris. Faced with this undeniable strength, the Galactic Commanders knew they could no longer justify their tests. Humanity had not only survived but had forced the commanders to reevaluate their own assumptions about power, intelligence, and strength. "We have seen enough," Commander Lothar announced, his voice carrying a tone of reluctant admiration. "This species, these humans, have earned their place among us. To continue our interference would not only be futile but dishonorable." The council reached a unanimous decision. No longer would humanity be a subject of their tests, or an inferior species under their scrutiny. Instead, they would be regarded as allies, equal participants in the galaxy's future. An offer of alliance was extended, a gesture of goodwill and respect, acknowledging humanity's capability to rise even when faced with the impossible. Though many among the commanders felt a pang of regret for the suffering their tests had caused, they also felt a profound respect for the unyielding spirit they had witnessed. In response, Earth's leaders accepted the offer of alliance cautiously, recognizing the weight of their newfound position. This moment marked a significant shift, not only for humanity but for the Galactic Commanders, who returned to their domains with a deeper appreciation for this young, resilient species. And so, with their eyes open to what humanity truly represented, the Commanders left Earth untouched, carrying with them a memory of human resolve that would reverberate throughout their realms. They had come to Earth expecting to measure weakness, but they departed having discovered a force that transcended technology, a unique blend of unity, creativity, and unbreakable spirit that would forever shape their view of the universe.